days that are coming before us are both a joy and a source of fear. Because before us is a responsibility that, like the time of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda and his compatriots, what we are supposed to do is extremely clear. We are aware that we have a struggle against a common enemy, and the common enemy is poverty. The common enemy is lack of employment. The common enemy is the earth that we depend on. The common enemy is far from being my fellow opposition political party. The common enemy is far from being the government, the party in government. The common enemy is away from all of us. And as citizens first, we admit that there's a lot of temptation to pick on a wrong enemy and begin to fight that person or that team or that party. We have a reason to unite because before us, this one enemy that we have requires of us a very concerted effort. Allow us to state that it is this realization that makes us not be ready to pick on any other of our friends, strong or weak in terms of political standing, and begin to fight them. It behooves our minds, it behooves our souls to imagine that we take away our attention and focus on a wrong person, on a wrong team, or on a wrong party. Our crusade is clear. It is set against poverty. It is set against unemployment. It is set against corruption and bad governance. We stand our ground that in the face of violence, in the face of persecution, in the face of provocation, we will remind ourselves what our true enemy is. It is not the brother, it is not the sister standing before us. It is poverty that must be eliminated once and for all. It is unemployment that should be dealt with once and for all. It is corruption that must be dealt with once and for all. It is tribalism that should be dealt with once and for all. Regionalism, nepotism, and all the isms that cause us to look at each other with a frown and not be proud that we share in the same space. As citizens first, we are of the conviction that at an opportune time, God raises leaders who are created for a certain purpose. This purpose does not reside in the heart of a fellow man. It resides in the heart of God as He calls us to unite from different places. It might be from certain political parties. Others will come from the academic environment. Others will come from other political parties that may look like our enemies today. And others are going to come from certain religious organizations, peer pressure groups, and all of us will be speaking one language, the language of economic emancipation. We state with clarity of mind, we state with utmost conviction that the job that is set before us is as clear as the job that was set before Nelson Mandela, the freedom against apartheid in South Africa. We speak with the conviction that was set before Martin Luther King Jr. of the United States of America, when he understood that he had a cause to die for in the fight for civil rights. We speak with the conviction that Harry Mwanga Nkumbula, Kenneth Kaunda, Simon Mwansa Kapwepwe, Kamanga, and the rest of the team had when they were convicted that they needed to fight colonialism. We speak with the same conviction that Dr. Frederick Titus Chiluba had when he stood and fought for multi-party democracy, and the same conviction that made Levi Patrick Mwanawasa resign as a vice president and later become the president of the nation so that he could show us good governance. That conviction is what drives the citizens first. That we have a solemn responsibility to raise a nation and raise it to a level where we all understand that we must emancipate the nation against the shackles of poverty, against unemployment, bad governance, corruption, tribalism, and nepotism, and all the other isms that have caused us to rise up against each other. That is our conviction. That is why when we step our foot on the ground, when we go out to campaign, when we go out to give out our message, it is not a manifesto, it is a crusade. It is a crusade against poverty. It is a crusade against all the vices that have made us become slaves even after getting independence. We still depend on aid. We still believe that our freedom in terms of economy is going to come from outside. We have insulted our own people by not believing in them. We have opted to believe in the so-called investors whose major responsibility, aim, goals, and vision is to extract as much resources from our soils, as much resources from underground, as much resources from our people, and leave us wallowing in poverty while providing aid that lead us nowhere. Citizens First believe that power for change, power for development resides in the people that God has planted on this space known as Zambia, and we state unequivocally that we believe in our people and that the rising out of poverty into economic freedom is passionately connected to the citizens that reside on this land. And so we say to all those who are supposed to join us, and right now they do not feel the conviction, we say to you, brother, we say to you, sister, when time is due, your space is sovereign. It is a space like that of Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana. It is a space like that of Julius Kambarage Nyerere in Tanzania. It is a space like that of Patrice Lumumba in Congo DR, then Zaire. It is a space that God has given you, and you are going to find us just warming up the space so that once you are there, we hold hands together and emancipate this nation. For how long can we be divided when we know that the only way to achieve the targeted end is by unity. Zambia must be freed from the shackles of poverty, and that will only be achieved through good leadership. And good leadership is what we have in Citizens First. This is also a passionate plea to the rest of the nation. It is a passionate plea to the rest of the parties that let's put aside what makes us different and unite for this cause, which can only happen once in a generation. It is a rare thing that the people come together and realize that the enemy they have is one, and that enemy must be fought left, right, and center. And at that point, we can't afford to be distracted by a brother. We can't afford to be distracted by a sister. So we invite everybody to join in Citizens First as we grow this into a gigantic movement that is propelling a crusade against the shackles of economic slavery that has come in form of aid and a continuous dependency on Europe, a continuous dependency on the Western world and Eastern world. Africa is blessed with all the best resources. We just need to check up ourselves and be responsible enough to free this blessed continent. This is Citizens First.